The rent hike is the general term used to describe the steep increase of rent over a period of time in a metropolitan area. Seattle's rent hike has been going on since the mid-1990s, but has seen significant increase in the past few years. Those affected by the rent hike are low income, people of color, and the LGBTQ community. I interviewed some of my peers to see what they had to say about the rent hike.
Yeah, I do know what the rent hike is. In my mind, I've never heard the rent hike as a term that people use a lot. I just know that when my family is looking for houses, we just can't find anything. We can't find anything that is even remotely in our price range. Nothing. I mean, you have homes, not even homes, apartments and condos in traditionally socioeconomically lower class areas that are the rent prices are just skyrocketing, and it's pretty bad. It's causing a lot of problems for a lot of poor folk.
Yeah, I think the rent hike is driving people out of the city, and it's driving a lot of the culture and the communities out that used to be there. And when you want to bring it to gentrification and stuff, I don't know, it's removing something authentic for something that's not. I think when the rents start going up and stuff, you start driving out all the artists and all the people who can't afford to just be Seattleites, and that's just not cool, especially when it really is just people from the tech communities and stuff coming here. But
yes, I think the rent hike has deeply affected me. It's been a hard couple of years.
The rent hikes affected me. It's affected my family. It's affected my family who aren't even in state. It's affected my friends, and it's affected my community.
The changes that I've seen in Seattle recently have been well, okay. I'm going to answer this question sort of roundabout, and it's sort of ironic because this is from the perspective of a blind person that I know. So my aunt is the head librarian at Washington Talking Braille and Book Library, which services the blind. And one of her patrons was walking through downtown, and then later discussed with my aunt how he was surprised that there were so many more homeless people in Seattle, when in reality, he was walking through downtown and bumping into tech workers for Amazon and Google just standing around on the sidewalk on their phones. And I think that sort of it put things in perspective of wow, things really are changing, because it's very easy, given the state of our country right now and the state of these little pocket computers that we always have on us. It's very easy to ignore. It's very easy to sort of keep your face down here, not look around. And I think because of that distraction, it's very easy not to notice how many more people there are here, and how much more wealth there is here, and wealthy people, wealthy families moving here to move and to live and seek the jobs that are very highly sought after, and the employees are very highly sought after and very valued. And it's great that they're getting jobs, but it's creating a ripple effect of heightened prices for everybody, and it's affecting poor people the hardest.
Well, I mean, yeah, you're cleaning up the streets and stuff, and you're tearing down all the old buildings, and what I guess used to be a bunch of warehouses are now big $3,000 condos and stuff. I don't know. It's I've started to see my friends and stuff have started moving out to cheaper communities and stuff. The people I go to school with, they people have left the school district just so they can find someplace like Pierce County or something where it's cheaper to live. It's you start to see like people like disappear, and like the culture that's like reappearing because of it. It's a little lifeless.
I think the battle against ignoring the impoverished is a very hard one, and we've been fighting it for years. And it's really hard to make a difference when your socioeconomic class is literally invisible to everybody that's not experiencing it. And it creates a lot of problems, and it's very scary because I don't really know how we can solve it, because who listens to poor people? Not a lot.
I grew up here. I think it's like not only is it like important to me personally, but it's just like a culture. It's like a cultural kind of mecca and stuff. And I think losing that to kind of something like as simple as like just not being able to like live here anymore. Like I don't know. I think that's kind of dumb, and I think it's kind of elitist, and I think it's unjust.
I interviewed Rainey Cohen, Director of Communication at the Washington Low Income Housing Alliance, to see what her perspective of the rent hike was.
Yeah, my name is Rainey Cohen. I am the Director of Communications here for the Washington Low Income Housing Alliance. Most of our work is lobbying in Olympia to pass policies to create affordable housing for everyone in Washington. Our goal is to ensure that everyone in Washington has the opportunity to live in a safe, healthy, and affordable home. And we do that through training advocates and through lobbying our lawmakers in Olympia. We work for money in the state budget to fund the Housing Trust Fund, which gives dollars to developers and other organizations to actually build the affordable homes. And then we do work on tenant protection legislation. So one of our biggest pieces is source of income discrimination. Right now, it's perfectly legal for a landlord to deny you an apartment based on your source of income. So if you have a Section 8 voucher or SSI or other disability benefits, a landlord can just say, no, I don't want to rent to you. Wow. And so we're working on tenant protection legislation like that. So rent control is a tricky issue. It is actually banned by state law. So for any city or local community to try and make a decision about capping rents in their own area, they are not allowed to do that. You have to actually change that law at the state level. So the best we can do for now is, like I said, work on these kind of tenant protection things that are right now in like Seattle and Kirkland and a few other local communities. There is a ban on the source of income discrimination, but we're working on trying to make that statewide. So again, so the rent control issue has to be dealt with legally at the state level, but for other things in Seattle, that's what the HALA recommendations are about. Do you know about the HALA recommendations? So you should definitely look that up. It's HALA is the acronym. It's the Housing Affordability Livability Agenda, I think. It was a massive effort put forward by the mayor and partners in both public agencies and private developers to come up with, I think there are 68 proposals for solutions to address the affordability issue in Seattle. And so those each piece of that is being put through Seattle City Council right now, and you can actually attend the hearings and learn more about it. But they have community groups who are involved and advising on it, and it's, from what I understand, pretty easy to get involved with if you wanted to know more. Right. The wage is a big deal. Wage has everything to do with whether or not you can afford your rent. So absolutely, raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour in the city will definitely help people be able to afford their rents. However, rents are rising fast enough that making $15 an hour isn't actually enough to afford an apartment, particularly if you are a person with a family. No, it is not a fair assessment that there is one sole thing to blame, but it is a massive driver as these tech companies are moving in and paying higher wages. The development companies know that they can build luxury apartments rather than, maybe some that are a little more modest, because there are thousands more people in the area who can afford the luxury apartments. So it's a natural driver of rents, but it's certainly not the only contributing factor.
Okay.